strength and honor.
Hands on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Coliseum doors.
Man, I love me some Denzel Washington, but what is this trailer? You've probably heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sure, you can always add a little flair, but when something works well and consistently generates excitement, why mess with its success? There's something to be said for sticking to a formula sometimes, because it reliably delivers results. Just like humans had a decent diet that worked and then the country started pushing fast food, and now a whole bunch of people have diabetes and cancer out of nowhere. And you know, it's okay to stick to something if it just works. An excerpt from Screen Rant claims, parts of the trailer for Gladiator 2 were set to the song No Church in the Wild by Jay-Z and Kanye West. That choice for the trailer soundtrack became controversial to some viewers for a few reasons. Some people took issue with the fact that the trailer didn't use a more traditional movie score like Hans Zimmer's soundtrack for the original Gladiator, while others thought that using rap music in a movie about ancient Rome was anachronistic. The controversy became so prevalent that one fan edited Zimmer's original score into the trailer for Gladiator 2 while removing No Church in the Wild. Then we have idiots like this saying Gladiator 2 trailer hurts trolls' feelings by using Jay-Z and Ye's No Church in the Wild. Another article called The Gamer, which is talking about something that's not a game, but anyway, says the most common criticism is that hip-hop as a genre is anachronistic and doesn't belong in period pieces. That's incorrect, by the way. If it's a period piece where that genre existed, or where pop or any of those other genres existed, it makes sense that it be for that genre. But anyway, the person goes on to saying, I gotta be honest, that's just a really, really bad take. I hate when people do that nowadays, where everything they disagree with is a bad take. But your take isn't bad, right? That perspective fundamentally misunderstands the function of music in a film. The irony of this statement is so freaking hilarious. That's why I'm laughing. The irony is so hilarious with this. The function of music in a film is to support the aesthetic and mood the director wants to create. Limiting a movie soundtrack to music that existed at a time it's set is one approach, but it's not the only approach. If the filmmaker wants to cut through the distance a period setting creates, they might use modern music to make the viewer feel a greater connection to the characters of the story.
Yeah, okay.
If this is part of the Gladiator franchise, you want the new generation to understand what kind of movie they're getting. Seeing Denzel Washington, even though he's a phenomenal actor, one of my favorites, with a New York City accent, and then deciding to put a rap song in the trailer just because he's the face of it is baffling. At least that's what it seems like. Did they really think that this was a good move? Do they not see how tone deaf that could appear on top of everything else? There are other issues too, like people not wanting a second Gladiator movie in the first place. It feels unnecessary and pretentious. Studios keep making soulless sequels and remakes, and they don't seem to realize that they're losing money every time. They have hurt their relationship with the audiences so much that even when they do try something new, something that otherwise people might be interested in seeing, it flops because people are just tired of Hollywood's antics. But let's focus on the music in the trailer.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
Hands on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Coliseum doors.
We got media outlets like The Hollywood Reporter bashing the audience for mocking the music choice, and in pure entitlement fashion, acting like the audience is the problem. Now, when you first see their link, it says that the trailer is getting review bombed for cringe something another. However, when you go into it, the heading says the Gladiator 2 trailer is getting review bombed for 3 reasons. And pray tell, how is it getting review bombed? People are just leaving their comments and disliking the trailer. So yeah, you can say that the trailer is getting disliked, but what we designate as review bombing doesn't really fit here, so stop. Now, looking at the article, they claim that people are upset because the trailer seems to give away too much. They say the second reason, and that this is by far the most cited, is that the trailer uses Kanye West and Jay-Z's No Church in the Wild, and people are asking why have rap music in a movie about the Roman Empire. Then look, the article in the next line even states that a part of the original Gladiator's appeal was that it was unabashedly classical and that it had a beloved track from Hans Zimmer, whichever one. But then they immediately go brain dead with the next statement being, of course, it's hard to imagine such contemporary music being used during the film's ancient Rome sequences. This is just a trailer, so perhaps critics should chill out. Also, No Church in the Wild includes the lyric, blood stains the Colosseum doors, so there is that. these individuals wonder why the populace doesn't take them seriously anymore. Then they get into, oh boy, the third reason being ding ding racism, which doesn't make any sense for people that do take an issue with this because there were black people in the original Gladiator movie too, so I don't see what the issue is. I mean, there's something to be said with keeping consistency, which they seem to do here. So, I mean, even in the movie 300, there were black people in there as well. So to me, this is a non-issue. We're mostly talking about the music because that's what this article claims is the biggest issue. I know this is stupid to say, but for the sake of the video, I'm willing to believe that this comes from a place of ignorance. So let's break down why people are upset about the music in the trailer and some of the other gripes that it may cause. And this applies to all trailers, not just the Gladiator 2 one. Music in a trailer is crucial, especially when there's already skepticism about the movie. And a bad reception, everyone knows, can be the doom of a movie before it even hits the theaters. If I'm being totally honest, the only person I feel bad for in this situation is Denzel Washington, because he doesn't deserve this. I don't give a damn about Pascal because honestly, he's in everything and I'm sick and tired of seeing him for some reason. He seems to hate half his audience anyway. But anyway, let me start by saying something that should be common knowledge, especially to filmmakers. Trailer music is super important if you're trying to sell your movie. It is the backbone of the trailer, setting the tone and getting us emotionally hooked.
I will let you down. I will make you hurt.
You see the Logan trailer? Using that beautiful power poignant song, Hurt, it fit well with the theme of the movie. Logan's pain and him aging and his legacy and caring. For some reason, it made this trailer so badass. Good music, or most importantly, the use of the right type of music can make us excited about a movie, while bad music or the bad use of music can completely turn us off to it. Think about it. The right track makes us feel the vibe of the movie even before it starts, even before you know what it is. You don't need to look any further than within the franchise itself for the first Gladiator movie and its trailer.
Remove your helmet and tell me your name.
My name is Gladiator. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance.
In this ancient trailer, I felt more immersed than in the new one, and even in this redone one, it still manages to somewhat carry the same tone.
Who is he? I'm required to kill, so I kill. What we doing live? Echoes in eternity.
And the way they ended on those drums and the action and the drama, I felt like I was translated to another world, to this world, this universe that they created in this movie. It totally put me into it. I didn't have to hear freaking Jay-Z or Machine Gun Kelly or some weird Brazilian funk, even though I like those songs or music by those artists or those genres, to pop me out of this movie and make me extremely aware and to remind me that, hey, this is just a movie. This ain't real. When part of the magic is immersing people and making them, for the moment, believe that what they're seeing is real. Even the people in the comments are reliving the hype of the original Gladiator. Like, who came back for this masterpiece after watching the Gladiator 2 trailer? The one for the older original trailer, we know why you're here. And it's funny how everybody came back. Every time there is a bad rendition of something or turns people off, they always go back to the originals. And it's because they were reliving the hype and they appreciated how the music fit perfectly for the time period and the type of movie that they were expecting. The drums at the end of the updated trailer felt like something epic was building up. So we were building up to something epic. And I found myself rooting for this character, even though I don't know who he is. And it made me even more so want to watch the movie. And yeah, believe it or not, I still haven't seen Gladiator. Yes, it's on my list because my husband and friends always give me the, oh my god, shame on you for not having watched that movie speech. But I was curious about Gladiator 2, thinking it might be a remake, and of course because Denzel Washington's in it. Usually celebrities no longer pull me into movies, but Denzel Washington and Leonardo DiCaprio, people like that are like the rare exceptions where I'm like, well, I'll watch a movie just because that person's in it. I also usually like to watch remakes first if I haven't seen the originals, because the remakes often pale in comparison and it makes the originals feel like an upgrade upgrade. Unless, of course, it's a continuation, in which case I'd watch the original first. But what immediately turned me off was the use of popular modern trendy music for a movie set in ancient Rome. If it's a historical piece, then pop, rock, hip-hop, dubstep, etc. just don't fit. Sorry, I know, pearl clutching and all that jazz, but when I hear that kind of music in a historical movie trailer, I just immediately tune it out because it just feels like a cash grab to me. It makes me feel like the filmmakers aren't taking this as seriously as they should, and like it's a soulless effort. So they're like, ooh, let's just use trendy music to get people to be hyped about it because trendy music is popular and people like trendy music, right? There's so many other beats and music that you could use. Hell, they could have asked Gambino to come up with a track for this and he would have done a better job because he has proven to be very versatile in his range of music. The question is warranted. Why would you take a hip hop artist to do a trailer for a movie set in ancient Rome? It's really annoying when shows or movies are set in ancient Japan or China or Africa or any civilization before these types of music existed, and they play Eminem or trap music, and even though I enjoy music like that, it just doesn't fit in a setting like this. For example, the Inception trailer. Remember that intense booming Titanic ship sound that every movie and every trailer started using afterwards? That score, composed by Hans Zimmer, instantly set the stage for this mind-bending, high-stakes thriller. Or the trailer for Mad Max Fury Road with its frenetic and aggressive soundtrack. Dude, that trailer was badass, and the movie fitted exactly. The music fit exactly. It perfectly mirrored the chaotic and wild nature of the movie. These trailers used music to give us a taste of what to expect, pulling us into the movie's world, and it was enough to make me watch the movie, even though I did it very recently. I watched it in preparation for the Anya Taylor-Joy movie, but after watching the original, or rather the previous Mad Max movie, I didn't see a point in watching the new one, and I already explained that in an earlier video. Another great example is all of the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers.
Running.
For the life of me, I've been trying to find this freaking remix. Oh my god. This trailer introduced me to the song, and it was a little bit more deep and soulful and sad because of the whole concept and theme of the movie, which fit perfectly. Usually Guardians of the Galaxy will have this established quirky and nostalgic vibe, and the reason why using these types of music fits so well is not just because Guardians of the Galaxy has a more modernish setting, but also because the main character Star-Lord carries around a little radio that plays that type of music to remember his mother. I'm sorry, it's one of the best scenes I always remember. Whenever I remember Guardians of the Galaxy, that's the scene I always remember. These poor things are just minding their own business and running, and then they're like, go away, leave us alone. He's eating them in Texas. I'm sorry, but that alone, that intro alone set the whole stage for Guardians of the Galaxy because it's so quirky. And so it fits. See how they did that there? It fits his personality. It fits the type of movie that we know they were getting. And previous to this, I had no idea who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and this was my introduction to them. Music did a great job with that. And it introduced me to new songs too. All this brings us to the Gladiator 2 trailer. And yes, people are upset, but here's why. One of the first things that ruins the immersion is with Denzel Washington. We all know he's an amazing actor, and one of the things I love about him is his New York accent. And yes, this is set in ancient Rome, so we heavily New York accent in an ancient Roman setting ruins the immersion.
Pretty Woman or Aaron Brockovich? I would say Pretty Woman because that's where I was sort of introduced to Julia.
Well, that was a question. Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
Well, I'm only...
Yes and no.
Bro, I love Denzel's accent. I love everything about him. He is a beautiful man. And his accent is part of what makes him alluring. But accents do play a crucial role in creating a believable setting, especially in historical film. Now, people have understandably made the argument that British accents are used in The Gladiator, and that's not a Roman thing, and I've noticed this as well. But it's common knowledge that, yes, while British accents are often used in Hollywood to represent various European cultures and historical settings, they've become sort of a neutral accent that audiences have already grown accustomed to in period pieces. Understandably, this is largely due to the historical influence and the long-standing tradition of British actors playing roles in such films. It's an accepted convention that, while it's not entirely accurate, I understand, it does maintain a certain level of immersion. On the other hand, in the midst of all of this, a stark New York accent is distinctly modern and heavily tied to a specific region and culture. It also sticks out like a sore thumb when the majority of all these other people don't sound like that. Hearing it in a film set in ancient Rome can be jarring because it immediately pulls the audience out of the historical context. Me, someone who grew up partially in New York, I'm like, oh shit, that guy sounds like he's from New York. Even people who didn't grow up in New York would hear this and be like, yo, that guy sounds like he comes from New York. On top of that, they chose a Jay-Z rap song for the trailer, which, as I mentioned before, breaks the immersion. When you watch a movie set in ancient Rome, you expect everything to fit that time period, including the accents and the music. Honestly, it feels like they cast Denzel Washington because of his star power, but didn't direct him to use an accent fitting for the role. And maybe he was trying, but he's so stuck in using his foundational accent, nothing is wrong with that, that it's kind of hard to train an old dog at this point to do a new trick. Did his character grow up in Rome? If so, why doesn't he sound Roman or British like the others? Even if he were from another region, he definitely wouldn't have a New York City accent. New York didn't even exist back then, and even if it did, the accent would have sounded completely different from today or even 30 years ago. Ancient Rome was at its peak around 2,000 years ago, while New York City was founded in the 17th century by Dutch settlers and originally named New Amsterdam. So the idea of someone using a New York accent in a Roman setting is anachronistic and disrupts the historical immersion of the film when most of the other people are not using that accent. You could say the British accent's been around for a while, or different versions of it, but as I said before, the historical pieces use that as a neutral accent for other people that are speaking a language other than English, because remember, in Rome, they weren't speaking English either. So the British accent is indicative of people speaking another language. By the way, anachronistic means something belonging to a different time period or setting other than what we're seeing. In that vein, rap and hip-hop music is modern, and it carries all the vibes of today's culture. So even if Jay-Z's lyrics talk about blood in the Colosseum, it just feels out of place for a movie about ancient Rome. Trailer music should pull us into the movie's world, not pull us out of it. And when the music doesn't match the setting, it's like this big flashing wrong era sign that breaks the magic and it turns people away. Imagine if the trailer for The Gladiator, the original one, had used a contemporary pop song like Britney Spears or Michael Jackson or one of the older music celebrities back then. The epic historical feel would be completely undermined, and instead they used a powerful orchestral score that made you instantly feel like you're stepping aside of ancient Rome. That's the kind of synergy between music and setting that is crucial for a trailer. I know this might be confusing for some people to grasp, but choosing the wrong music can really mess with how people see the movie before it even comes out. A trailer is like a movie's first impression, and if the impression is off, people will lose interest. The backlash to the Gladiator 2 trailer shows that a lot of people are already questioning the movie's quality and authenticity, and that's not a good start. Look at the success of franchises like the Star Wars, and even looking at their trailers.
And this power, not from a Jedi.
The Council wants you to report on all the Chancellor's dealings.
That's treason.
We are at war, Anakin.
The iconic John Williams score immediately transports viewers to the Star Wars universe, creating excitement and nostalgia. If a Star Wars trailer suddenly featured a genre of music that didn't fit the franchise's aesthetic, it would be so freaking jarring and disappointing to fans, and people would call it out no matter how much they like Star Wars. Hell, even shitty shows like The Acolyte got that right.
Jedi are being hunted.
And on top of all of this, yes, the articles making fun of people for being upset about this or simply criticizing it is not a good look on them. And actually, I would argue it only serves to further hurt the production itself. I've made countless videos, as have others, about marketing and how you treat your audience. If something doesn't have good reception or people aren't really into it, and then you shame, guilt, or vilify them for voicing their opinions, you are part of the problem and contributing to that production's failure. People have a right to their opinions, especially when they're the ones who will be paying to see the movie. Mocking them for caring about historical accuracy or the right vibe in trailer music is dismissive and doesn't help anyone. When one of the main complaints is that the modern rap song and New York accent break the historical immersion, maybe it's time to listen to the audience and look at other historical movies that did well. People watch historical films to be transported to another time, and when something feels out of place, it disrupts that experience. Mocking the people who value historical accuracy and immersion is not the gotcha that you think it is. I thought that filmmakers understood this, but it feels like they're regressing, or that today's filmmakers understand less about films than they used to, or they just don't even care anymore. I mean, I can't even say it was Ridley Scott's decision to put that music in the trailer because he seems too experienced to make that kind of mistake. It feels more like, I don't know, I could be wrong, Jay-Z had a lot of influence and wanted his music to be in the trailer, or the studio just pushed for it, possibly as a form of nepotism. I mean, Jay-Z and Kanye are super rich, so just like most elite people, if they want something, they get it, depending on how much money they have. But trailer music shouldn't just function as background noise. It shapes how we feel about the movie. When you're just calling people who have an issue with this trolls and they're just getting mocked for pointing out a mismatch in the music, it ignores how crucial music is for setting expectations and engaging us emotionally. It is a big deal and it should be taken seriously. Think about the trailer for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The epic sweeping music by Howard Shore didn't just set the stage.
That gave its wearer the power to enslave the world.
I'm afraid to do it.
Let's not simply walk into Mordor.
It created an emotional connection, a sense of grandeur that matched the epic scale of the story and the adventure that was to come. That's what good trailer music does. It amplifies the story and draws you in. It feels like a fantasy story, and the trailer gives you a snippet of what you're to expect, and that's just how humans are psychologically.
I'm not a man.
Then close your eyes and shut the fuck up!
Now, just to note, they used modern music in the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power show trailer as well.
Whatever it was you did, be free of it.
Yes, it's strange, but you know one thing I'll say about Rings of Power? That modern music at least seemed to fit more with the setting of a fantasy show than Metallica or Jay-Z or Billie Eilish would have.
Creature in all Middle-earth. We stay true to each other. With our hearts.
I wouldn't say it's the best choice for music, but it was very haunting and ethereal, and I still think it was a much better fit in comparison to a freaking hip-hop song in ancient Rome. God forbid people call out something that's silly, and these media outlets shut down important conversations that only serve to help the industry grow and improve. I don't even know why people have rejected listening to the audience or at least hearing them out. Negative reactions can impact a film's marketing and overall success. And it's not particularly the negative reactions. Usually they're coming from a place of validity. So if people are telling you, hey, this is making me not want to watch your movie and I'm probably not going to watch it because it's not appealing to me, and you see the people voicing these concerns, filmmakers and marketers should probably listen. Yeah, they don't have to take the advice, but straight up mocking the populace from a malicious angle alienates potential viewers, and it shows a lack of respect for their feedback. Addressing concerns in a thoughtful manner will lead to better movies and happier audiences. It doesn't mean that if you listen to everything the audience says that will guarantee that your movie will do well, but you know what will guarantee that it won't? The audience telling you why they're not watching your movie and you telling them that they're idiots. If a trailer is done badly, ask yourself why it's not being received well. I can understand if the audience was hating every trailer in existence, but there are plenty of movies where nobody had an issue with the trailer or the presence of black actors. Yet journalists cherry pick specific issues and blatantly ignore all the other successful aspects that audiences clearly support. If a trailer or show or movie doesn't do well because it's tokenizing, misrepresenting a time period, has poor acting, empty dialogue, or a directionless plot, these journalists, studios, filmmakers, and showrunners often claim it's because the audience is racist, especially if they're white, or toxic. That's it. That's the only thing it could be. It's impossible for it to be any fault of their own. And people are honestly just very fed up and tired of this. And shocker, doesn't push them or encourage them to want to watch the movie after being called trolls by expressing concerns they may have about a movie that has nothing to do with race. Let's not pretend that the actual racist people that have an issue with Denzel Washington being in the movie when there were black actors and black people in the previous Gladiator movie are the majority of the people who have an issue with this. People already have an issue with the Gladiator 2 movie coming out because it feels like an unnecessary sequel, because the movie apparently already ended with a beautiful final conclusion. So it does feel like a low effort cash grab to them, and they're tired of seeing the same rinse and repeat. Even if the Gladiator 2 trailer did have a Hans Zimmer score, it would still likely have a negative reception. But what really doesn't help is ruining the immersion and stacking a debuff that increases the likelihood of failure for this movie by 60 times by putting a hip-hop song in a movie set in ancient Rome.